Everybody loves acting like a Call of Duty encyclopedia. I get it. I do the same thing. When you love the franchise as much as we all do and you have so many years invested in it, it's natural to want to know everything about it. But today's list is going to be kind of challenging because we're going to be looking at 10 maps that I am absolutely certain you don't remember. You let me know in the comments, and you need to be honest. Circle of Trust. How many of these you actually do remember? Drop a like, and if you think any of them should be remade, let me know. At number 10 today, Storm in Modern Warfare 2 2009. We'll start off with a relatively easy one because I'm sure some of you old school fans remember this map, but the majority of you probably don't. Storm was a DLC map released for the original Modern Warfare 2 all the way back as part of the Stimulus expansion pack, and it was actually remade as Chemical Plant in Call of Duty Online. But since that game was only available officially in China, I doubt many of you remember that version either. Storm took place in an industrial park with a lot of machinery lying around, and of course it was taking place during a giant rainstorm that impacted your visibility while you were outside. So because of that, people typically stuck to the indoor areas, which made it easy to use a shotgun and clean up enemy players trying to make their way across the map without being spotted. The layout, it kind of reminded me of Vacant from COD 4, but a bit larger. It was a good map, but not many people remember it ever existed, and even more, never had the chance to play it. At number 9. Subpins in World at War. Can I confuse you for a minute? So in Call of Duty Vanguard, there was a map called Subpins. But back in World at War, there was a DLC map called Subpins that was completely different. Now, I have no idea why they gave Vanguard's map the same name, but I guess since nobody remembers the World at War version, it wasn't a big deal. Subpins in World at War was released as part of the second map pack in June of 2009. Yes, that long ago. It was a long, narrow map, mainly close quarters, although there were a few areas where you could snipe. It's pretty fun to play around on, and there were some intense firefights, but since it was DLC for a game that came out in 2008, and its namesake was recycled for an entirely different map a few years later, nobody remembers this. I mean, be honest with me. Do you remember World at War Subpins? At number 8, Decommission in Modern Warfare 3 2011. Now, like many maps on this list, Decommission had a pretty cool theme, but for one reason or another, we forgot it. The map was set on an ocean liner graveyard in Somalia. It was released as part of Content Pack 7 for Call of Duty Elite subscribers. Who remembers COD Elite? Yeah. It was loosely based on the Return to Sender campaign map and had the codename Shipbreaker, which I think was a way cooler name for it. Maybe if it had been called that, more people would remember it. But then again, probably not. It was a relatively late addition to Modern Warfare 3, and the layout itself wasn't really anything worth remembering. It wasn't a bad map, and I have one or two decent memories here, but ultimately, it kind of just felt like a larger version of Aground, which was a fan favorite face-off map. Again, not bad, but I don't think anybody actually remembers it, especially not when it was put next to other classic Modern Warfare 3 maps. At number 7 today, Breach in World at War. This one is confusing because there is a different Treyarch map that is also called Breach, and maybe some of you remember that one, but the World at War version was one of the DLC maps, and most people skipped right over it. I mean, despite being pretty fun, it wasn't unique. Breach took place in Berlin, had a very similar style and presentation to the other multiplayer maps in World at War, so it didn't really stand out for any major reason. Plus, the mere fact that it was a relatively late DLC addition to a 2008 game means you probably never played it, or you probably never saw gameplay footage of it. I'm not entirely sure why Treyarch decided to recycle the map name for Black Ops 3 7 years later, but then again, maybe they forgot about it as well. At number 6, Foundation in Modern Warfare 3 2011. Now, this map took place in South Korea, and honestly, I don't think I have anything to say about it. I do like to think of myself as a Call of Duty encyclopedia, which I think is to be expected after making literally hundreds, maybe thousands of videos about the series. But when I was looking through the big master list of all the Call of Duty maps for the video, Foundation is one of the few where I don't really have memories to pull. I'm sure I played on it once or twice, but looking at the Call of Duty wiki page for it and checking out the layout, I don't remember a thing. The COD Wiki says this is the only map in Modern Warfare 3 where the cars and trucks are indestructible, so there's that. Not sure why they did that, but at least that's something to be unique. I don't know. Visually, nothing special. Layout doesn't seem very interesting, so I guess it was just one of those maps where the devs needed to pump something out to fill the space in a DLC update. Now, I don't mean that to be an insult, because obviously, that's going to happen when you've designed as many maps as the Call of Duty developers have, but hey, you clicked on the list of maps nobody remembers today, and I'm pretty sure this one belongs there. Now we crack into the top 5. Swarm in Advanced Warfare. Another map set in South Korea. It was set in Seoul. It was a pretty standard urban map, and that's about it. I think I tend to be way more forgiving of Advanced Warfare than most people are now, and yet I don't really remember anything about Swarm. I think it was pulled from one of the campaign missions, so it had a bit of synergy there, but Advanced Warfare, despite being the first jetpack game, didn't do a great job at making maps with memorable elements. Yes, there was the Biolab map, and the map that changed if someone got a DNA bomb, but what about the rest of them? I do remember Detroit, and that one jungle map, I forget the name of it, but who remembers Swarm? At number 4. Parliament in Advanced Warfare. What about this one? I'm going to give you a hint. It was the DLC map that partially took place on a big battleship. Parliament is a pretty large map. Took place in London, had you fighting in and around a docked battleship near the Palace of Westminster. Sounds amazing. You could zip around the 2 stories of the ship, hop over to the dock, try to flank the enemies, but most of the fighting took place in the middle, as per usual of Call of Duty. And I think it was all right, things considered. I honestly think this map might have had a few fans down in the comments. I do. It was a cool theme. Most of you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. And honestly, it's kind of sad because, again, this setting was awesome for a Call of Duty map. I mean, getting to jump around with jetpacks on a giant docked battleship in London should have been a fan favorite. And yet, 99% of COD players probably don't know it exists. At number 3, Creek in COD 4. Now, COD 4 only had a handful of DLC maps. Most of them became fan favorites. You had Chinatown, a remake of Carentan. You had Kill House, a crazy small-scale battleground. And Broadcast, which was remade for Modern Warfare 2019, even part of the original Warzone map. But then there was the 4th and final DLC map, Creek. You know what? I don't think anybody actually liked the map, which is probably why everyone forgot about it. It was an absolutely huge map. It was meant to be sniper-focused, similar to Overgrown from the base game. But because of the insane size and slow pace, nobody voted for it. They didn't. Even it was remade for Modern Warfare Remastered. I don't remember anybody actually wanting to play it or committing it to memory. All things considered, I guess it wasn't horrible, but it was not memorable for any good reasons. Unless you were grinding COD 4 back in the day, you probably never heard of it. It's basically just Overgrown, but worse. At number 2, Gulch in Modern Warfare 3 2011. One more MW3 map. You know, it's interesting, because I think most COD players will agree that the original Modern Warfare 3 was one of the best Call of Duty multiplayers of all time. And yet there are a lot of maps that nobody remembers. I know they were DLC maps, but it seems like a lot of modern COD players still remember the DLC maps from Black Ops 2 and Ghost. But Modern Warfare 3? Why have so many of those been memory hold? I don't know. Anyway, Gulch was released as part of the Content Pack 9. Took place in the Grand Canyon. Actually had some cool Easter eggs if my memory serves me correctly. But most of the map was meant for long-range combat, and I think we all know that COD players tend to gravitate towards a faster-paced map, so Gulch was never all that popular. It was certainly one of the brightest maps in Modern Warfare 3 in terms of lighting and colors, and like I said, there was some fun Easter eggs. I remember, I think there was a dinosaur fossil hidden somewhere. That was cool, but the gameplay wasn't that good. I mean, people skipped right over it. Plus, this DLC was released mere months before the launch of Black Ops 2, so it was kind of set up to fail because we were all ready for Black Ops 2, and then once Black Ops 2 came out, we were on to one of the best Call of Duties ever. And at number 1 today, this is my pick for the map that you won't remember. I think I've got you. Heartland and Infinite Warfare. I'm going to blow your mind. Did you know this was actually a remake of Warhawk from Ghosts? No? Of course you didn't know that. You didn't even remember the map existed. Be honest with me. Heartland was released as DLC for Infinite Warfare, arguably the least popular COD multiplayer of all time. And it was a remake of one of the better maps from Ghost, but by the time it was released, basically everyone had moved on from Infinite Warfare, and the only people left on the servers, they were playing Gesture Warfare or Genesis 24/7. I'm also willing to bet that Infinite Warfare's DLC season was the least popular in COD history. I don't think anyone ever remembers Heartland. Now, I will say the DLC stuff we got, like camos and stuff, was pretty cool. But the maps, no. I mean, does anyone even remember Warhawk from Ghost? I'm sure some of you do, competitive scene-wise. Out of all the maps Infinity Ward had access to for remakes, they chose Warhawk. Now, I don't want to be mean, because I know Infinite Warfare has gotten enough hate to last a million lifetimes. But if we're looking at the most forgotten maps in COD history, I think Heartland might take the cake. It was a DLC map in a game where nobody was playing the DLC, and it was a remake of a map from Ghost, and it was released at a time back where everybody still hated Ghost, and the Ghost Redemption Squad had not been formed yet. I mean, yeah, this to me is the most forgotten map in COD history. None of you remember it, I didn't remember it. Don't try to act like you did. And let me know in the comment section. What's one map that I forgot to put on the forgotten list? Thank you for all the love and support on the channel, guys, as we slowly climb our way out of the ooze on our way to 3 million subscribers. Thank you for all the love on the Call of Duty content. It's good to be back. I'll see you guys soon.